We'll get to your tweets today. Here we go. The first one. Oh, man. It's going to be this way. This is from Ryan Lundcrest. He's in Sacramento, I believe. It says, buyers aren't playing games. Sellers price it right. The housing market is heating up for the spring, but there is still a limited pool of buyers shopping right now. This is in California then, because we're not to the spring market here in St. Louis. I would not say the market is hot for sellers. I think sellers should price it right. I think that's true. Now, he writes later, he says, I'm not saying there isn't competition, but it's not the same vibe as 2021, where buyers were offering massive amounts over the list price, waiving all contingencies and not getting credits from sellers. Buyers are picky about price, location, and condition. And then this fellow wrote wrong. Plenty of buyers in the Bay Area and Seattle, multiple bids are back. And then Ryan said, the market isn't the same everywhere. We're also seeing an increase in multiple bids. Should be happening at this time of year, not 2021 levels though, and not always going above. Different vibe. Buyers are still picking, not hearing much about removing all contingencies. Are you? So, I think you can get a deal done right now. I don't think there's any issue as long as the house is priced right. We were talking about a house yesterday where they didn't sell the house for 6 months starting in June. Then they came back to market at the price they left the market as was still way too high. So I don't expect that house to sell. Multiple offers. On a good house, I can probably get multiple offers still. I don't want to. On the buyer side, I don't want to, because now I'm raising the price for my buyer. But if interest rates keep going down, not good. Not good, depending on where you are. We talked about that yesterday, where there was just such it seems like there's so much to do with financing and wealth instead of, actual like growth. I don't know. That's where I'm at on that one. I also made a mistake. This was supposed to be the last tweet of the show, and so I made it first. Moving on. This was interesting. I thought we should talk about it. It says Michael Burry has now deleted his account after tweeting this yesterday. He tweeted sell. Michael Burry, who is he? He was the guy that did the great short. He predicted house prices would go down, and so he shorted them and made all kinds of money. That's the legend. I don't know if it's true or not. So what does this mean? What are we to make of this? He's been bearish for a long time. I mean, it's so strange to me. Like people prognosticate the future of housing and the future of the economy, and it's just like everyone has their own. Somebody will use charts. Somebody will use a valuation method that's more traditional, and it's just fascinating to me. I mean, you have the brightest people in the world now, where you have visibility for everything, and yet we still don't know. Like, we still aren't any better off. Just getting more voices doesn't seem to get us better off as far as actually predicting what's going on in the economy. I don't know. I'm not thrilled about house prices right now for buyers. This is a long tweet thread. This is from Jeff Winiger. It says, we're going with Winiger. I don't know what it is. These are the most recessionary charts in the regional Fed surveys right now. So now we're talking about recession. We just talked about, the biggest bear, decided that he is not a bear, we think, but we're interpreting something that we don't know. It's very strange. It's very strange. And then when the guy, if he is successful at his prognostication, then people will be like, no, it didn't. It's just weird. It's the world we live in. But here we go. The New York Fed general business conditions, very few respondents saying conditions are higher. We only saw numbers like this during the global financial crisis and such early days. I'm not even going to say the word because I don't want the thing at the bottom of my video. Okay, it says buyers were putting in extra orders when the supply chain was messed up because they didn't know how long the problem would last. Now the rubber band is snapping back. In the Northeast, new orders are telling us activity will be weak this spring and summer. It says we have similar results in the Kansas City Fed survey. Respondents span Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, Wyoming, Colorado, and parts of New Mexico, all down. Okay, these are new orders. It's across the country. New orders look ugly in the Richmond territory too, which covers Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and most of West Virginia and DC. And then it says East Coast companies are saying that they expect shipments to go way down this year. So many people are talking about the hot labor market at the very moment is about to become cold. Now, this is interesting. Today, some of the justification for why the economy was going for a soft landing was because employment was still high. Okay. And so now this fellow Wisdom Tree, head of equities, market stocks, regular contributor on financial media. He says so many people are talking about the hot labor market at the very moment it's about to become cold. What does that mean? Work hours are being cut in middle America. Employers always cut your work hours first because they don't want to have to fire people. That comes next. And I think that's true. For all the hatred and vitriol one has for their employer, the employer sees someone as like, we don't want to retrain someone. We don't want to have to pay to do that. Let's just cut hours. It says they're also cutting hours in the Philadelphia's Fed territory, which covers most of Pennsylvania plus chunks of New Jersey and Delaware. Hiring freezes are key 2023-2024 theme. Running factories at full capacity, I think that's coming to an end. 10 out of 10, this is it. It says it's pretty clear orders are falling hard, work hours are being cut, capacity is peaking, expectations are tumbling, recession, end. You know, if you're me, I mean, I was talking to my favorite lender, you know, in July, and I'm saying, how can this possibly be going like, I mean, how can we possibly be going like this? You know? I mean, how can it be this? How can it be this? I don't know if crazy is the right word, but how can it just be going so um like how can we have these multiple offers? How can we have all this stuff happening? And I said it's like we're on a slow moving train wreck. And even now, I mean, I listed a condo this week and I thought probably wouldn't get anybody even to go see it. And we had quite a few showings. Um, it's harder to get that deal done. We've been on the market now twice before, but I don't know. We'll see. This was interesting. This is from our research. Mortgage rates will likely drop even further this week as weren't any big surprises from the Federal Reserve's meetings today. I don't think anybody was too surprised. In fact, I think from what I'm reading is that the Fed kind of screwed up in the sense that the press conference wasn't so great as far as setting expectations for the future. Now, I don't know. I'm not a Fed watcher like that. I don't really like to go and try to interpret what the Fed is saying or anything like that. But anyway, it says mortgage rates will likely drop even further this week as there weren't any big surprises from the Federal Reserve's meeting today. We may even see rates slip below the 6% threshold, matching investors' expectations. The Federal Reserve raised short-term interest rates by 25 basis points. It's clear that the Federal Reserve has already switched to a smaller rate hikes as inflation is easing. As a result, the 10-year Treasury yield, an indicator for mortgage rates, dipped to 3.39% from 3.46% the previous week. Freddie Mac will release the 30-year fixed mortgage rate tomorrow at noon. Stay tuned. I mean, maybe I'm the only one, but I don't think there's been as much of a I don't believe that inflation is easing, okay, in any meaningful way. For example, go look at eggs. Go look at cars. We're still seeing on the back end, we're seeing more repossessions, more cars in default, more loans in default, but we're not seeing a dent in the sales. I mean, GM had a blowout quarter last year. And I mean, GM, that's crazy. Crazy. John Wake on Twitter. This is an interesting thing. I wanted to get your thoughts on it. It says every good realtor I speak to is saying the same thing. The feeling the market is heating up, more sales urgency and confidence, but the data doesn't show that. I don't think that way. But watch, it says when the market gets bad, people go to the good agents. That's why they're feeling it. Bad agents won't feel it at all. So does that mean I'm a bad agent? I don't know. Kind of hurtful. I don't think it's true. And here's why. I don't think that, how do I put it? Like, let's say that you're a young new home buyer. Okay. You're probably going to pick someone that your parents picked, or you're probably going to pick somebody that your best friend used. Okay. The only way to not get a horrible agent, you're not going to know that you've got a horrible agent or not, as long as the referral did a good job in the buyer's eyes. So I don't agree with this flat out. When the market gets bad, people go to the good agents. For who? On which side? On the seller side? Is it really that bad? So I just disagree. But it says, look, this is the host of the Canadian Real Estate Investor Podcast. Maybe that's true in Canada. I mean, I can count on my hand the amount of investors I have. And I don't really feel bad about that because I don't really enjoy looking at properties all day long and writing lowball offers. It really doesn't do anything for me. It's just a waste of my time. Last one, Alf on Twitter. The first innings of a recession always look like a soft landing. 1, the labor market weakens, but not yet enough to generate job losses. 2, earnings decline, but not yet negative year over year. 3, inflation drops, but not yet in a recessionary manner. Not yet a recession until it is. Man, I just don't know. I just don't know. It seems, I mean, like the thing that's tripping me up is the inflation number, or not the inflation number, the employment number. How can you have such strong employment in a recession? Like how many like how strong is our economy when we can weather all of these things? I suspect war has something to do with this, or our spending for war. Um, but it's odd. I mean, 3.5% unemployment. That's ridiculous. It's great, but now I just wanted to go and we got 3 articles. I think I'll get to all 3 of them today because it is about a half hour in. By the way, if you do see something that you like or you want to talk about sometime, go ahead and put it in the chat. Go ahead and put it in the comment section. I'll answer the question at least the best I can if I understand it. Some people write me things I don't understand what they're saying. Like I mean, you send me like 4 emojis. I don't know what that means.